How do you feel? Good. So I'm super happy to be here, and I'm always very excited when I'm in Italy. I love your country because you've got three things I think that are most important in the whole world, and I think this is pizza, pasta, and gelati. And today, Codemotion is breaking the norm with having this headphone stuff. I don't know, how do you feel? It's quite strange to see you all in headphones, but I hope you enjoy it. So today I'm going to break the norm as well by eating tons of gelati. And if you have any recommendations for spots for your favorite gelaterias, just catch me on my Twitter. It's out there. I don't know whether you see it. It's in the corner. But I'll be more than happy to gather all the recommendations. So we are here today to listen about CSS. Do you like CSS? Raise your hands. Great. Yeah, I wanted to see this view of people raising your hands because I love CSS. CSS, for me, combines the technical word of code and the word of aesthetics. And what I do, well, oh, I didn't introduce myself. So I'm Aga. I live in Warsaw in Poland, and I work at Adobe, where I'm designer and coder. So I do both things, and I really enjoy combining those two skills. So this is why I think CSS is a kind of natural language for me, and I hope that I'll share my passion for CSS with you today. So we're going to speak about breaking the norm with CSS and what breaking the norm actually means. Well, and is CSS always creative? Hopefully you get answer to these questions during my talk. So I told you a little bit about myself. I'm designer and coder, but first I would like to know more of you. Who among you are designers or define themselves as designers? Cool. I really like that. Designers are, attending a conference for developers. And other people, developers, probably, yeah. Do we have any people who don't define themselves as designer or developer? Okay, so who are you? You have to shout. Are you PM, like manager, or? Okay. Okay, I can't hear you, unfortunately, but that's cool that you're here. So before I actually start, I would like to tell you one story. So one day, I got a task at work, and it was creating a website. So this should be natural for me, right? Because I do this for a living, I do this every day. But, well, I was kind of stuck, and this creating a website actually became a huge blocker for me. And it was totally lacking, I was totally lacking energy and creative powers. So, well, at those moments, you usually look for the inspiration. So I decided to open the most recent pages that I look like every day, and it was PayPal, which looks like this. Have different sections. Yes, another one. I also use Trello a lot, so I was trying to find an inspiration in their layouts and their websites. I really like Evernote as well. So altogether, the websites look like this. And unfortunately, it didn't help because I think that they're quite boring. So my friend tried to help me, and he sent me this link. Well, it meant to be funny, but actually it's such true that maybe not almost, but most of the pages look like this. And this is like, the bootstrap thing and the templates. So I was very sad because I realized that we're living in the era of 12-column grid and 3 boxes. And it was very sad because everyone just repeats the same concept for the web design. So I started to wonder, is it only me who's so afraid of this boredom, or maybe the whole wide web has fallen into somehow boring state? And to support my worriness at the time, I found this article, which states that web design is now completely boring. And I realized that web design may be over, and it was quite a drama time for me because I started to wondering, well, maybe I should change my work, my profession, because I don't like what I'm doing. There's no longer passion for web design. And, it looks like that we as developers and designers, we reach the stagnation point where every website is the same. So I decided to take a deep breath and look for the inspiration offline. Yes, and I know how we usually feel when you hear offline, like, what? There's no Wi-Fi, oh my God, crazy. But I decided, to look at things from different perspective, not to be online all the time. So this offline thing and offline word became my remedy. And the things that were closest on my hand were the old-fashioned magazines I got from my friend, and I started to flipping through them and look for the cool ideas for the graphics design, and I realized it was it. Actually, I found there's so many unique, composition and layouts, and it's so funny because people tend to consider print as a dead medium, and right now print is like having the moment of its glory, and it delivered the fresh air I needed at that time. And when you look at the pictures, like every article, every feature article has a different layout, has a different composition. The artwork, the graphics actually support the content. And when you think about blogs on the web, everything looks the same, right? You've got the top hero banner, or two columns, something like that, and it's pretty boring. So yeah, I decided that print will be my inspiration, and I want to incorporate more print ideas into the web. So when I started getting back to the online world, I stumbled upon a website that is called Brutalist Websites. Who has ever heard about them? Oh, cool. So what is Brutalist website? In my definition, they're like web non-conformists, so they break all the existing rules, forgetting about UX, doing some crazy things. But, sometimes they're very annoying, but at the same time, extremely inspiring and something different and unique. And for sure, very shocking. So I started to think that this might be huge inspiration for us, for both designers and developers. And to support this trend, I also found another website that is called Hover States, and it gathers all the amazing and very crazy ideas on the website. So I strongly commend you to visit this page. And if you think that I'm too crazy, and your clients are not so modern, let's say, and wouldn't like the total craziness on their websites, just show them Bloomberg. And I think that they're like brutalist websites in reality, because what they do is actually it's pretty cool. This is the article What is Code, which is great, by the way, so I also recommend you to read it. And I love the artwork. I love that they play with the ideas. I love this, the things like from the word art thing, this creature out there. Oh yeah, it's like Word Art 2000, and I really like it. And I think that they really have courage, and they do take risk. So Bloomberg, really good work. Okay, but now you're wondering, I'm attending conference for developers, so where is code? And the good thing is that we're slowly heading to the code part and CSS, because as I mentioned, CSS is a perfect language to combine the world of art, aesthetics, and the world of code, the very technical and strict word. I think that CSS also bridged the gap between designers and developers. And I started to wondering what I can incorporate from this print world to the world of the web. And what features actually I can use to do these crazy ideas. And when I was looking at different inspiration on Pinterest, on Dribble, I started wondering, okay, how we can do some things in CSS, how we can have these shapes, some things written in the different shapes, not very boxy, not very rectangular. And I realized that this might be the CSS challenge for me, to check what I can do with the code, not with Photoshop. And I think that this is the moment when you should realize as well, if you're a developer, that you should also make your fellow designers more aware what is actually feasible in CSS, what they actually do. Because thanks to the better communication between designers and developers, I think that we can get a better web for everyone. So first thing that I would like to mention here that is good for breaking the norm with everything is CSS Grid. And it's shipped already to the browsers. How many of you have ever used CSS Grid, native CSS Grid? Oh, cool. Yeah, cool. So for those of you who haven't, I think that this is the time to do the experiments. Of course, it's so much easier to use the things that you already know, but I think that this is the time to break the norm, to step out of your comfort zone, and to try CSS Grid, which is amazing, by the way. And if you look for the resources, there are so great websites and so great materials everywhere. One of my favorite is CSS Grid Mozilla, and they also have in their DevTools the tool that inspects the CSS grid and like it draws the whole grid, so it's really useful. And if you're kind of lost and don't know where to start, you can, for instance, take such a layout, take such a website, and try to rewrite this in using CSS grid, so that you can see like what is possible and if it's easier or not. Okay, so now we're heading to more concrete things. And now I'm going to mention about clipping. So do you know what does it mean, clipping, clip path in CSS? Cool, so now I have a chance to explain it to you. So clip path is just a shape boundary, and it defines the shapes. Maybe some of you do remember old clip property, but it's deprecated right now. So if you're going to use it, remember that it's clip-path. So what is clip path in reality? I told you there's a shape boundary. You can imagine that clipping is just like using scissors and chopping pieces of paper. So our clip path here is this blue circle. We just stick it to our element on the website. It just cuts out everything, leaves like throws away everything what's outside the shape, and make the parts visible that are in the shape. So the region that is inside the shape, it's clipped. So let's look into the code. We've got several options to use clip path. You can use inset, which is just rectangular. You can use circle, which is circle, and you can define where it starts. You can define the radius of it. You can use the polygons or more complicated shapes. But you can also use something which is very cool, and this is the URL function. So you can use the reference to any shape, for instance, created in SVG. So you can have very sophisticated shapes. And it gives us a lot of opportunities to play with the layout. But let's see how it looks in the reality. So as you can see, those two splashes of water are created by clipping, by clip path. And let's look into the code. We've got the animation. We can skip it. And if you just comment out the clip path, you see that it's just a div with a background. And if we apply clip path, it becomes the shape of the splash. And here we use the clip path, the URL function. You can see it's called clip water. So if you'd like to use something like this on your website, you first need to have the shape. The splash of water was created in SVG. SVG is a scalable vector graphics format, and I'll be talking about it later on. So you just have, for instance, Illustrator or a Sketch or Inkscape. You create the shape. You open this in code editor, copy what's inside, and it's a very important part to add this. The path tag defines our shape, but we need to have this within clip path tags and def tags. Def stands for definition. So we've got our shape defined, but it's not generated visually in the page. So this is very important, and please remember. So this is in our HTML, and it's not rendered anywhere, but it's out there. And in CSS, we just only reference to our SVG path by just, giving ID. We can use class, but ID is here. Okay, totally. So the good news is that a couple of months before, Firefox only supported the URL function, so you couldn't use circle on inset or polygon. But now clip path and basic shapes for clip path are also supported. So we're getting it's getting more and more popular. So this is the good thing to try out. What are the other purposes for clip path? Well, one day I just trying to do some crazy examples. And I thought that maybe we can clip out, we can crop some elements out of the image using clipping. So here's the example. You can look at the plants right now. And what we can see is that this is just a div with a photo. And this photo is cut it out, these plants are cut it out by just applied the clip path. You can look to the code and get more familiar with it. There are more things happening out there in this example, but my main purpose was to show that you can actually cut out some elements from the picture, from the raster picture, and you don't need to generate PNGs, which are very heavy. So how to do it? Well, you need to have the cutted out form in SVG, and you need to have the JPEG. And you might start wondering, okay, but it's like a double work anyway. If you need to cut out something, you can use PNG with transparency, right? Because here anyway, designer or you need to cut out the elements and create a SVG path. But I will show you why it has a big advantage. So this is the example just to show you like a couple of minutes before. We just have our shape in SVG and just reference in our function, URL function, property in CSS for clip path. And now this is the time you start wondering, okay, why we're doing this? Because we can use PNGs with transparency. Well, this is the answer. That raster JPEG weighs 6 times less than this PNG equivalent. And this 6 times is a huge number, huge number. You can confirm. So from performance perspective, it's much more better. And if you think that I'm too crazy to have something like this on your website, I strongly recommend you to read Chris Collier's article about it. So I wasn't the only one who think that this might be really useful. I haven't seen such trick on production, but if you have really huge and very heavy JPEG and you need to cut out something from the picture, maybe this is the time to start using clip path. And of course, the most important thing, what about browser support? Well, unfortunately, IE, Edge, and Opera Mini don't support it, but we're getting closer. Firefox, Chrome, Safari, yeah, they're okay with it. So you can try experimenting with it right now. The second thing is masking. So this is another very attractive feature which can make your layout less boring, more attractive to the users. And it just tells which parts of the image should be visible. So it's kind of similar to clippings, but the clipping and clip path, but there are some differences, and I'll be, of course, talking about it right now. So what the mask does, well, the mask is composited with the image, so it's affected the alpha channel. Alpha channel is the channel that is associated with transparency levels, and I'll be showing the example, so don't worry if you're confused. How we use it? Well, we've got different options as well. We can use URL function. We can use even gradient. You can use PNG files as well. And it's good to mention that Firefox and Internet Explorer, they support only the latest one. So if you would like to have better support, please remember about it. And when you play with this feature, remember to include vendor prefixes as well, because it's also valid. So another cool thing about masking and what I love about it is that you can have the properties that are the same for background. So you've got mask size, mask repeat, so you can repeat your mask. You can define the mask. So everything acts the same like for a background. And let's look at this example. As you can see, this is our mask. And you can see that on the top, the shape like fades away. So there is more transparency. And here we've got just a simple div where our background is GIF file or GIF, and we apply this mask to this container. And as you can see on the top corner, it fades away. So it has like the mask is composited with the image, and it like determines the transparency levels. And I really love this effect. We can create really crazy stuff with it. Yes, so these are the transparencies. And what about browser support for masking? Um, it's the same as for clipping. So yeah, you can try. You can do the experiments. And now this is the time to sum up clipping and masking and what are the differences. Clipping defines if the areas or parts of the element should be visible or not. So it's like 0, 1, visible, not visible. But masking, it acts differently because it, as I told you, it calculates the transparency levels. So you can have something partially transparent or full transparent. So it's totally different than clipping, and from this perspective. So if you would like to have those transparencies, this is the moment when you should consider using mask. But if you would like to have crisp edges, perfect display, no matter the screen resolution or you would like to have like the basic shapes, something that it's, can be vector graphic, this is the time for clipping. And it's also good to know that masking is more memory and computation consuming, but because it goes pixel by pixel. It's a raster thing. And for clippings, it acts differently. So now, who said that text containers needs to be rectangular only? Like, let's step outside of our boxes, literally, and forget about rectangular. We can use shape outside, and shape outside defines how the text in the container wraps around our elements in the layout. So we've got different options. We can use shape outside on the container that it's floated. It's very important that it should be floated to make it work. And we can have circle, we can have different functions like polygons, we've got inset, ellipse, but we can also use URL function, which gives us amazing opportunities as well. And I've got some example. As you can see, the text out there like wraps around the Q letter. So it's not boxy, it's not rectangular. And those shapes as well. You can see the text is near them and just like flows near the shape. How it's done? Quite easy. So we've got the container with a background that it's fixed, so this is why there is this effect. We've got shape outside, so you can see that when it's commented, it just becomes rectangular. And we've got masking to make this shapes, like to make the background clip to the Q letter. So there are like two things happening: shape outside and masking. My presentation will be available, so later you can analyze how it is done. But I really like this effect. It's something that you can't see very often on the web. And I think that for some articles on glamorous blog, it might be very attractive. So to make it work, you have to remember that on the container that you apply shape outside, you need to have float, because otherwise it won't work. So the element should be floated. And it should height or width defined, either height, either width, because it needs to have like a coordinate system. So remember that these two properties needs to be added. And in my example, I also added the background to the container, the mask image to like have the background applied to the specific shape, and of course shape outside. When I was playing with it locally on my computer, I stumbled upon this error on my console log, and I didn't understand why it's not working. So I realized there's something like course. Do you know what course is? Some people know. Yeah. So at that time, I felt more like a designer because I like, frankly speaking, I didn't know what it means. So like, course, like what? Like, it's emergency. So we're of course starting Googling it, and it's cross-origin resource sharing. So like, to be quick about it and not to postpone most of my time on it, if you play with shape outside, remember to use remote server or local host. If you play it, just like opening the file like index HTML on your computer won't work because it's the thing that, with the resource sharing. So remember, because I lost, like, frankly speaking, like 1 day on trying to make it work. But yeah, localhost helped a lot. So what about browser support for Shape Outside? Well, it's not that good, but Firefox unfortunately doesn't support it. But I think that it will be changing, so fingers crossed, and hopefully more and more browsers will ship this property. So now, SVG. As I already mentioned, SVG is scalable vector graphic, and to be honest, I can't imagine today's web without SVG. I love SVG, and this is my passion, and I really think it's very cool. So if you haven't used SVG for icons, this is the time, because it's in the era when we have so many different devices, mobiles, desktops, and we in the era of responsive web design, everyone wants to see your website perfectly clear, perfectly displayed. So for iconography, SVG is perfect because it doesn't lose quality while changing the viewport. So I'm going to mention just only a couple of things for SVG. What I was experimenting was this wavy path for text, because it's very often that text is just like within a line. Of course, it's more for a decorative purpose, not like very good from the usability perspective. But still, it adds something new, like adds a new approach to the web design. And what I love about it is that text here is not an image, of course, and it's selectable, it's searchable, and it's accessible. So these are the three core features of SVG. How it looks, let's look into the code. So we've got the path, and all these numbers defines us this wavy shape. And we've got tspan, which is just the text. So what is in the blue, it's displayed out there on the layout. And you might wondering again, okay, so why you're showing this to us? Probably it's like a demo thing, not the real thing that you can stumble upon on the web. And I was very happy that I found this website because they have like text on the circle, so they use SVG and they animate it. So I think it looks really cool and add like something like fresh idea on their layout. And the next thing, while talking about breaking the norm with CSS, it's the hottest trend for 2017. I'm really curious what's going to be, what's happening in 2018. We'll see soon. But chaos. So chaos is a new trend. So like you can imagine that failures, errors, and jammings are welcomed on the website. So if you look something like this, like if you see something like this, you can imagine that this is very trendy right now. And I came across this wonderful Instagram account, which is called Pretty Ugly Project. And I totally agree that it's kind of pretty, kind of ugly, and it is like on the edge of being nice aesthetically. This is Polish girl Martyna. She creates this amazing posters, and I started to wondering, okay, what we can do in CSS, like what inspiration we can take from these posters on the web. And I stumbled upon this amazing website. This is kind of a serious website because this is the website for architectures, I guess. And they have this amazing view, this like a 3D thing with the text, where everything is skewed and changes when you scroll the website. And I really wanted to do this, and desperately looking for the tutorials of things that can help me to implement this on the web. And it wasn't very hard because it was already done by James Bosworth on the CodePen. And it's totally done in CSS. You can see that JS box is totally empty. And I'm so excited that we can do some things in CSS. And you do this only with transformation and skewing. If you're more interested and would like to get into the details, of course, the CodePen is available for you. So, I hope that you feel a little bit inspired, at least. And I strongly believe that with some features, CSS features, and with open minds and inspiration everywhere, we can create the websites that are more crazy, more innovative, and we should take a risk more often. There is a very famous painter, Henry Matisse. This is one of my favorite artists, and he said that creativity takes courage. And I think that, well, sometimes it's very tough to step out of our comfort zone while creating websites for clients that, tend to like grayish and bluish thing, the hero banner, the 2 columns or 3 columns. But let's try to do something different, maybe only for your own personal project, side project, because this is the time to do the experiments. And I think that this is the time, again, to talk with designers you work with and to show them what's possible, doing into the code. And I think that with these features, we're like slowly abandoning the graphics software. So I think that creating website can have like a new perspective. And personally, I really like creating websites and designing them in browser. I forgot about Photoshop, and I'm mostly focused on the code, because in the code, like code is a natural language for websites, right? So they can feel better in their own environment. Um, so I strongly believe that we can do more inspiring things. Of course, we should remember about can I use, because, well, browser support is very important. However, please remember that even if some of the properties are not supported, it doesn't mean that we don't want to serve a unique experience, even for 10% of the users who, for instance, use Chrome or Firefox. So this is the time to try do experiments and don't be afraid of it. Remember about this quote that creativity takes courage, because I hope that it can bring a fresh air to your profession. And I think that I'm having still like 9 minutes. I know that you're probably thinking about lunch. I'm very hungry as well. But I have a contest. And instead of questions, I prepared a small contest where you can win postcards and stickers I brought from Poland. We do have our own nonprofit organization, which is called The Awesomes, and we try to encourage people to start coding. And I have them with me. So this will be the award. They're in the silver envelope. Let me show you. So these are the stickers. And I'm going to use Kahoot. Do you know Kahoot? Probably yes. No, you don't know this? It's Italian thing, so I think that you should know. And I'm extremely happy to be in Italy and use Kahoot because I use it all the time, and I think it's amazing. So really big applause for Kahoot team. So I now would like to invite you to join the quiz. So what you should do right now, is to enter Kahoot IT. IT is for Italy. And let me just unplug for a second. So I will switch the quiz for you. Please bear with me. Oh no, I think that I closed the, you just need me, give me 5 minutes or 1 minute. I will give you a code. So you can use on on your phones or computer. I hope that Wi-Fi is here. It's very slow. Maybe I can use my mobile. There will be 6 questions about the things that I was talking about. So you can do the revision of the new things that you've learned. Maybe I should use my mobile later. Yep. Yes, it's opening. So give me 1 minute. So Kahoot is like an online platform for quizzes. It's like the millionaire quiz. Do you know millionaires? The thing. Mm. Okay, I'm signing in. So almost there, almost there. Um, okay, my Kahoots. I'll probably need to show you the pin here, so plugging again. Whoa. Okay. So let me give you the pin, which is I'm connecting. Okay. So you enter this thing into your pin, right? If you don't get it, just tell me. I can explain. Oh, I probably need Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi, yeah. Sorry that because it's comic motion base, right?
The Wi-Fi is this and the password.
Okay, yeah. I read it. If you can wait a sec. It's the most stressful thing when something doesn't work and you hurry for lunch. Me too. um, no, it's Codemotion based, right?
Base and the
Okay, let me forget join other network. Okay, works. Perfect. Sorry for that. So I need just to log in. Yep. Oh, I'm logged in. My Kahoots. Yeah, play. Woo. Happy that you stay with me. Okay, classic mode. Yeah, so sorry, this is the pin. So you need to, again, enter Kahoot IT. And there will be 6 questions, 20 seconds for each. And there are multiple choices. So remember about it, multiple answers. Whoa, so many players, yay. Cool. Okay, waiting like 5 seconds. 71. Oh my god, so many people out there. Crazy. Okay. Should I wait for someone? Yeah, okay. Okay, I think this is the time. I am starting. Okay. 5, 4, 3. Okay. Oh, about the rules. You'll see the questions on the screen, not on your phone, on the screen, and you give the answers on your phone. So answers on your phone, questions on the screen. Okay. Whoa, 91. Oh my God. Maybe we'll got 100. No, unfortunately not. Okay. So starting. 6 questions. And you see the answers just in 2 seconds. I'll take a picture of you. Yes, it's mask image because it's the, it's composited with the raster image. So let's see the leader. Simon, who's Simon? Congratulations, you're the first one, but we've got still 5 questions. So remember that time counts. So if you'll be fast, you'll be closer to the first place. Multiple answers. So remember about it. And the answer are float and either height or width. So these two things. Most people were correct, so this is cool. Simon again. Well, okay. Going to the third question. What is the difference between clipping and masking? Okay, 3 seconds left. Yeah, this is the second. So clipping, remember, clipping vectors, masking, raster images mainly. Oh, new leader. Fourth question. Horse. Oh, the mic is not working. Oh, okay, sure. It's switched. Okay, the mic is not working, so. Okay, so this is shape outside. The fifth question. Angry web. Yes, this is the Brutalist website. And the leader, Simon, again. And shape outside is not supported by, this is the last question. Multiple answers, remember about it? It's IE and Firefox. So let's see. Simon, congratulations. So people who are on the podium, again, you can come and get the stickers. So thank you for attending my talk.